Welcome back. Today we're doing a little bit more informal, a Q&A about faith transitions. Some personal questions came up. I asked these questions over on Instagram. If you're not following me there, this is my account. It's a fun place to interact. And I ended up picking 8 questions that I hear all the time that commonly get asked from all the ones that got submitted on Instagram. And I'm going to be answering these from a personal experience, and some of them I'll be answering from a therapist's perspective. As we're going through this, if any new questions come up, drop them in the comments because I'd be happy to do another video like this again if you guys like it. Okay, here's question number 1. Is this really religious trauma or is it just childhood trauma? And honestly, that is such a hard question to answer because if you grew up in high demand religion was life. So like religion and your childhood are so intertwined together. And some questions you could ask yourself is, was the abuse or the mistreatment that led to the trauma, was that done in the name of religion? Was there religious beliefs or religious doctrine fueling that mistreatment? Or was it happening connected to religious experiences? If it was, then it's probably a little bit more on the side of religious trauma. But again, high demand religion like infiltrates everything. So childhood trauma and religious trauma are much more connected, and I don't know if it's super helpful figuring out which is which. Treatment would look very similar. Another question is, why do I feel worse after leaving? I expected to feel better. I expected to feel some relief. And there's so many reasons why. Like, structure is falling away. Mormonism tells you exactly how to run your day. You wake up in the morning, you pray, you read your scripture, you put prayer in your heart, and you go throughout your day trying to do service. And throughout your day, it might look like visiting teaching or going to Young Women's or going to a Relief Society activity or going to your job that Mormonism impacts in some way. And then you come home and you have family dinner and family scripture time, and you're praying before you go to bed, and you're repenting every night, and you're going to church on Sunday, and you have your calling. That's like kind of in the micro way, but Mormonism is also telling you the structure of like how to live your life in a macro way. Like the covenant path, you get a baby blessing, and then you go to primary, and then you get the priesthood at 11 or 12, or you go to Young Women's, and then you get your patriarchal blessing when you're a teenager, and you go to seminary, and then you go to a church school, and you get married young, and you start having kids. You serve in these demanding callings, and then you raise your kids, and then when your kids are out of the house, then you go on another mission if you didn't go on one when you were younger. So that structure falling away can be very disorienting. A lot of times suppressed emotions are coming out. As you leave a toxic environment and your body starts to feel safe, our bodies want to heal. They want to process all the things that impacted us. So often then those emotions or memories or anger might come up, and it's not going to last forever, I promise. But when you resist emotions, they persist. So take some time with those emotions, whether that's journaling or just sitting and feeling. And I should add, when I say journaling, I don't mean the Mormon kind of journaling that one day your posterity is going to read. I mean the kind of journaling no one's ever going to see, and you don't want anyone to ever see, because it is so raw and honest and vulnerable with yourself. And then another reason why sometimes it's harder after you leave the church is there's a big identity loss. Like, a lot of us being Mormon is a big part of our identity. And when you take that away, it takes some time to build something new there. And there can be a lot of grief with that. And grief is really felt a lot in the body, and that can be hard. So if you're in the hard part of a faith deconstruction, of a faith transition, I just want to reach to the camera and give you a hug, because I know it is so hard, and I hope you find community and you hope you get support. Okay, next question is, how do I trust myself after being taught not to? And this is like anything else. It's practice, it's repetition, it's giving yourself corrective experiences. It's noticing, if someone were to watch me not trusting myself, what would that look like? Would that look like doing excessive research? Would that look like not being able to make a simple decision for myself and asking everybody else? Like, even just what should we have for dinner? Instead of just thinking, okay, this is what sounds good to me, I'm going to make it. You're like, maybe I should look on Pinterest for ideas. Maybe I should ask my husband what he wants for dinner. Maybe I should ask all the kids what they want for dinner. Maybe I should ask my best friend what she's making for dinner. Instead of just being like, what sounds good to me? And honestly, coming back to that question again and again and again. What do I want? What sounds good to me? What do I need? What do I desire? And honoring that again and again and again is how you build trust with yourself. Self-trust is not a switch. It is built through repetition, through repetitive, safe experiences with yourself. Okay, how do I handle all the guilt is the next question, especially around parenting, pleasure, and rest. Okay, and if you're a mom, I'm guessing this is going to hit hard. Who doesn't experience mom guilt? And from my personal experience, mom guilt doesn't really ever go away. You just get better at not responding to it. Guilt is a conditioned response. Guilt is not truth. Just because you feel guilty, or maybe it's shame, doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. Most things are morally neutral. And something that can be really helpful is asking yourself, okay, is this appropriate guilt or is this inappropriate guilt? Appropriate guilt is when you do something that's outside of your values, or you do something that breaks the social moral code, like killing, lying, stealing, maybe yelling at somebody, name calling, or maybe it's like you were late and it's important to you to not be late, but you were late and you feel a little guilty about that. Guilt is okay if you've done something wrong. It's a great motivator to actually change our behavior. Inappropriate guilt is when you're feeling guilt about something that is morally neutral, like working or not working, getting a babysitter or not getting a babysitter, how you dress, what you eat, where you live. There's so many things that are morally neutral that we've been conditioned to feel guilt about in religion. Religion told us that we should be a certain way, and after any should, there's shame. And inappropriate guilt is very, I would say it's synonymous with shame. Guilt is like, I did something wrong and I'm going to try to not do that again in the future. Shame is, I am wrong. I did this bad thing because I am bad. And you are not bad. You are not bad. And I'm guessing that whatever you're feeling guilty about, like they mentioned here in this question, parenting, pleasure, rest, there's a million ways to be a good parent. There's a million ways to find good pleasure. There's a million different ways to rest. These are all morally neutral things. So just try to not pay attention to those thoughts when they come up. Notice it and just let it pass along like a leaf on a stream, and try to just do whatever is in alignment with your values anyway. Okay, next question was, it's so hard with 4 O's. How do I find community? Okay, an analogy I often use with my clients to assess their social health is a house analogy. So imagine I'm drawing like a rudimentary blueprint for you, okay? There's a porch, there's a living room, there's a kitchen, and a bedroom. And it's kind of like the porch, living room, kitchen, bedroom. It's a path in deeper into the house, okay? The kind of conversations you have on your porch, maybe with a neighbor who got your mail, or like someone trying to sell you like, I don't know, solar or something. They're very superficial conversations. It's, hi, no, I do not want pest control, or okay, thank you for the package, see you later. Very shallow, superficial conversations. When someone is in your living room, maybe it's a friend or it's someone like picking up a kid for a play date, the conversations are a little bit deeper, like, oh, tell me about yourself. How was work? How was your Christmas? Things like that. It's a little bit deeper than what happens on your porch. And then the conversations that happen in your kitchen are usually a little bit deeper than what's happening in your living room. Maybe you're talking with your kids about their thoughts, feelings, emotions while you're making dinner or something like that. And then the conversations you have in your bedroom, I think about the deep heart to heart, like we're both crying conversations maybe that I have with my husband, or I think back to like when I had my miscarriage years ago and my mom like came and just like laid in my bed with me and just held me while I cried. Those are deep, intimate conversations. If you were my client and you were here in my office and we were talking about your social health, I would ask you, okay, who is on your porch, who's in your living room, who's in your kitchen, and who's in your bedroom? You need some people in all of these places. Not everybody should be a deep, intimate friend, but not everybody should be on your porch either. So that would help me to know if everyone you know is on your porch, then you have some vulnerability issues. You're having a hard time letting people in. But if everyone you know is in your bedroom, then that would let me know that you're having some boundaries issues. So you want some people in all of those houses. So literally draw this house on a piece of paper and do an assessment of your own social health. And someone has to start on your porch. Like you have to start with acquaintances. And that usually is a numbers game of you just have to talk to more people. Whether that's being more friendly at things that you're already going to, like a yoga class or school drop off or kids' birthday parties or work or whatever. Like maybe you just need to talk to more people. Or maybe you do have some living room friends that could become kitchen friends that you'd like to be seeing more often, that you'd like to go deeper with. Maybe you just need to practice a little bit more vulnerability. So hopefully that helps with like how to build community. But first, assessing where you're at, I think can be really helpful with that house analogy. Okay, the next question is a personal one. Are my family and parents still active? Yes, my parents are super active. My dad works in the temple. They just got home from a mission a few years ago. They go to church every Sunday, read their scriptures every day. Like very devout, very active. And we have a great relationship. I see them probably twice a week, maybe. We don't talk about religion very much ever since I left, but that's okay. We don't have to see the same My parents are pretty good about differentiation, knowing that like we can be different and still be close. And that is like such a huge blessing because I know that's not the case for everybody. And my husband is still pretty active. I wouldn't say he's as active as my parents, but he definitely still identifies as Mormon and he goes to church and he takes my kids sometimes. Okay, question number 7. What do I tell my kids about why we left the church? My oldest is 5 and has a lot of questions. I totally understand this. I've got a 4-year-old and she's got lots of questions. And keeping your answers very clear and simple. And well, first deciding like, do I want my kid to have a positive viewpoint of religion generally and Mormonism specifically? Or am I okay with them having a negative viewpoint of religion generally and Mormonism specifically? And going for clear, simple, age-appropriate answers. So some examples that I wrote up that I'll read you here. Some people go to church and some people don't. Every family is different. We used to go to that church, but it wasn't a good fit anymore. Just like when you're wearing some pants and they just don't fit you right anymore and you just have to take them off. Same thing with church. Or another one is when someone hurts you, you stop spending time with them. And it's the same with churches. This church hurt us, and so we don't want to be there anymore. And then if your kids have follow-up questions like, oh, how did the church hurt you? You can give them simple, clear answers. Like 1 or 2 sentences is usually good for a kid of this age, 4, 5, 6. Okay, another one is sometimes people change their minds. I used to like that church and believe in it, but I don't anymore. And not only if using this kind of response, like some people change their minds or some people like this and some people like this. Not only are you teaching your kids about your experience, but you're teaching them about differentiation, that like we can all be different and it's okay. It's not a threat to anybody if somebody is different. And if you have any one-liners that you really like that you've used with your kids, drop them in the comments because I'm sure we would all love to hear them. Okay, last question, and then we'll start wrapping things up, was what was the first thing that shifted your feelings about the church? I would say the very first thing that shifted my feelings was in 2016, I was a missionary in the Spokane, Washington mission. I remember sitting in there was like a family history center in my area, and we would go there on Mondays to do emails, and sitting there, and I had a ton of emails that week. And a bunch of them were about gay marriage being legalized. And everyone was like, oh, this is so sad. What a bad day for our country, blah, blah, blah. Even my mission president sent out this email announcing it and letting us know what we should say to investigators and stuff. But I remember getting all those emails and reading them and being like, why is it a big deal if gay people can get married? Like, why is that a bad thing? Why is this a sad day for our country? How is this any threat to a straight marriage or whatever? Like, this was just one of the first times where I started thinking in contradiction to like what the mainstream thought in Mormonism was. And I would say the very first crack in my shelf. Okay, if you made it this far, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're here. I love answering questions like this. I think it's really fun. So if you have some questions about personal or professional or questions about religious trauma or faith deconstructions, then drop them in the comments. And if I get enough, then maybe I'll do another Q&A video like this. If you're still trying to figure out if you are actually experiencing religious trauma or not, then down in the video description, there is a religious trauma symptoms quiz linked. So go ahead and check that out. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.